keep on kissing babies and hugging fat girls. You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son.
It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a bitch! What? It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
And you t-shirts are too tight too, Billy! And you book a match with me against Ryan Keelan? Look at me! I'm a total package! I will rip him apart! I'm pissed now!
Where to, Stephanie?
WrestleRoasts on ad-free shows and ATC.
Welcome, everybody, to WrestleRoasts, our big SummerSlam episode, the roast of the great one, The Rock. It's gonna be quite a love letter of a show. A lot of fun stuff to talk about. As far as roasts coming up, we got JBL next week, Lawrence Taylor, the Bella Twins, AJ Styles, and the Honky Tonk Man, Scotty and Robert. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, man?
And Mike, I want to introduce you by you introducing what our spooky October roasts are going to be.
Nice. Yeah, we're doing all spooky stuff in October. So the ghost of QT Marshall's hairline, Christian's potential. So lots of dead things. Now this is what we've got for October. October 1st, we have the vampire himself, Gangrel.
Oh, Vampiro's pissed that you said that.
But no one else is, so it's okay. October 8th, we have Hot Topic's favorite wrestler, Darby Allin.
Whoa.
The guy that you used to hate, Dan, but you like him now, right?
I like him now, man. His in-ring work has really won me over.
October 15th, you're going to give this episode a hepatitis C+. Abdullah the Butcher.
Oh, man, that could have been a Cowboy Bob Orton episode, too.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we'll get Hannibal for that one, who sued him. And then October 22nd, make like a doll and wink. It's Alexa Bliss we're doing.
Excited about that. Excited for all you creeps out there who are going to be jerking off to that episode.
And then October 29th, the monster himself, because he's a Republican mayor, Kane.
The Big Red Machine. He used to be a libertarian, but nobody in his home state knew what that meant. As far as
spell it.
It meant they lend you books, Dan.
as far as our Patreon roast, we got a big show coming up this Monday. We got the best deal on Patreon. We're going to be talking about the first ever TNA pay-per-view. I tweeted a link to you guys. I made the boys watch this week. It's basically the closest thing you'll see in wrestling to a hillbilly wedding. It is it's pretty unbelievable.
On the count of three, guys. 1, 2, 3. Fuck you, Dan.
We're also going to be reviewing Rampage from this coming Friday because there's a good chance CM Punk's going to be on it. And if he's not, it's going to be even more fun to review. Like just the 13,000 people in Chicago just like fucking rioting during a goddamn Garcia match.
So the fun thing about the TNA pay-per-view, for those of you listening, is Impact watched this and then uploaded it onto their YouTube channel, encouraging you to go back and revisit the first episode. It's available for free on their YouTube page, and somebody in the brain trust of Impact thought, yeah, this is something we should really make sure fans watch.
I mean, I think it's just like interesting, like when the Smithsonian, like you see what the first planes look like, you know, and you're like, this killed all the pilots, but it looks weird, huh?
And it's amazing because one of the strippers in a cage is named Kitty Hawk. So,
oh my God, I totally forgot about the cage yet. Scott, have you seen it yet?
No, I have not.
Oh my God.
Oh, well, don't spoil it for him.
You're going to love it. August 30th, we got the roast of Vince Russo and the Reverse Battle Royale at TNA. September 6th, we're off. September 13th, we're doing all the bright sides we didn't get to. Bret Hart, Goldberg, the Hardy Boys, the $1 Million Man, Big Show, Shane McMahon and Baron Corbin. It's September 20th and 27th. One will be the WWE pay-per-view. One will be WrestleMania 2. October 4th, the roast of Alberto Del Rio. October 11th, Halloween Havoc 1993. That's Cactus Jack versus Big Van Vader. October 18th, Wrestling's Darkest Crimes. October 25th will most likely be whatever WWE pay-per-view it is. And November 1st, the roast of Nick Gage. But today, we are talking about probably the biggest star, well, definitely the biggest star wrestling has ever produced.
We're not covering Nick Gage today.
The Rock. Robert, let's start out. The bright side of The Rock. What do you love about The Rock?
I mean, how much time do we have?
You have your Rock Says book?
I found my Rock Says book with the Borders 30% off sticker to really show how old I am.
This book should not be in the bright side. That book's a little rough. But
that book is terrible.
And the name of the actual author scrubbed off of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, James Patterson.
Hey, he loves a good Patterson, right?
I think The Rock is the quintessential prototype for what you ever wanted as a wrestler. He can deliver in the ring. He's probably the best ever on promos, or one of the best ever. He's the single biggest transition star to go from wrestling to mainstream, and he's universally beloved. I mean, he's one of those people where everyone for decades who shit on wrestling still loves The Rock. He's at that Tom Hanks level. He's probably going to wind up being president at some point in time. And that's not just blowing smoke. That's pretty true. He's delivered in everything they've ever put him in. He was a fantastic heel. He was a fantastic babyface. He had so many memorable moments. I mean, even just they used him to elevate other guys. The debut of Jericho was one of the biggest moments in wrestling history because it was Jericho in there with The Rock. It was that idea that Bruce always talks about of sprinkling Hulk dust on someone. With the exception of Billy Gunn, you put anybody in there with The Rock and you're going to get a memorable magnetic segment. He was
Robert. I would say that even his complete burial of Billy Gunn is a bright side of the ring.
Oh yeah, but my name's Billy promo alone is fantastic. He made chicken salad out of chicken shit for so long. This is why Vince could never create a babyface after Steve.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe this is real, but we not only got a handicapper, but we got the best ever. So I gotta ask, how are you so good at handicapping these games? 4-0, that's quite a streak already.
Well, let's talk about every pick I've given this year in the NFL as an example. 23-8. Every pick I've given this year. 4 weeks in the bag, 23-8. There's nobody in the country that can match what I do, but I always make sure, because anybody, Conrad, could make up anything. They could tell you and blow smoke and tell you, oh, I'm the greatest. But I am independently monitored and documented, so nobody could ever question what I say and go, I don't believe it. I send every pick to an independent monitoring and documentation service that has to get the pick before the game goes off and then publishes it after the game goes off so anybody can see what I gave. And those picks for the year, every NFL pick so far, 23-8. And I think it's because I do more homework than anybody else. The average guy or gal watching this podcast, they don't have time. They have a career, they have jobs. They might read the newspaper or go online and see something, but they don't have time 80 hours a week to study the games. That's what I do. And I have a crew of guys behind me, my consultants, who every week we get together 3 times a week and they throw their ideas at me. I throw my ideas at them. And then I pick the final 5 plays on Saturday and Sunday in college and pro football. So, I've got a great team behind me too, but we're all doing together hundreds of hours of homework. So you don't have to. It's all at VegasWinners.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to VegasWinners.com right now. Let's win some money.
Austin and The Rock. It's because these two guys were so natural and so charismatic and made this easy that you could give them stuff like things we're going to talk about later on the show, and they're still going to make it a mainstream, memorable thing where you could sit someone down who doesn't like wrestling. They can watch a Rock match, they can watch a Rock promo, and they're going to be entertained.
Scotty,
The Austin and Rock are also great examples of if you want a great baby face, just have them be a heel. The Rock is a fucking heel, thick and thin. And the only reason I know this is because I was big on The Rock when I believed in wrestling. And I hated him because I loved Stone Cold Steve Austin. Even to the point, there's a segment we're going to talk about later, and it was The Rock and Sock Connection. I loved Mick Foley so much, and I hated The Rock so much as a kid that reading in Foley's book, his issues with The Rock made me happy. Like I was a Stone Cold Dude Love kid because of my allegiance to Stone Cold. Looking back at it, I can see the value in him, but I remember being a kid and going to a show with my uncle and chanting Rocky sucks and my uncle yelling at me about it. I was adamantly against him. And now, obviously I know what everybody knows. He's Mount Rushmore every time, in terms of promos, in terms of, dude, in ring, he's so unique. Nobody moves like The Rock moves. Nobody spoke like he spoke. Like, I don't necessarily think he's the best promo or best in ring, but nobody else sounds or did what he did. It's completely like in its own thing. It's its own life. It's strange, and it like rarely happens in entertainment, not just wrestling. I think he is this thing that rarely occurs. Like, I mean, me and Mike, we said the same thing in a text to each other the other day at the same time. He's this generation's Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he's probably more famous than Arnold. It's just I'm saying that because I'm of a generation that had Arnold. But he's one of the most recognizable faces, and I don't mean in terms of face as a wrestling baby face. I mean, there's like, Charlie Chaplin, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, The Rock. Like there's faces that if you show a picture in any country, they're gonna go, oh, that's this person's name, Yeah, huge deal.
Scott, who did Charlie Chaplin beat?
Oh yeah.
Couldn't even beat McCarthy.
Statutory rape charges.
Yeah.
Zach, does my microphone sound better now? I think it was off of Snowball earlier.
I think it sounds fine. Yeah.
What do you like about The Rock, Zach?
He always sounded good on the mic. His mic levels were always perfect every time. And no, I mean, I'm actually of the same generation of Scott where I was always a Stone Cold kid. So I agree that where other heels, it was not as believable as The Rock being such an asshole in every way that he was. And looking back on it, you can appreciate that better than most. And yeah, he's the biggest star in the world, undoubtedly.
Mike Lawrence.
I think that a word that Scott used that I think is really important is rare, in the sense that people are always like, they want the Attitude Era again. They want they want new talent to be like these stars, but it really was, I think, lightning in a bottle. You look at the way that The Rock came up, and you look at the way that Stone Cold came up, and they couldn't be any different. One guy was a journeyman wrestler, was in these other companies, and the other guy is, I'd say The Rock is the best homegrown talent that the WWE has ever had. He didn't do any other territories or anything. He was a system guy that they built from the ground up, trained by like Tom Pritchard and Patterson and these guys, and he just got it. But I think the thing that is, that you can say about The Rock and Stone Cold that ties them together, and maybe a reason why we don't have as many stars now, regardless of whether they're at this caliber, is they pivoted. They were smart. Like, he was Rocky Maivia. People said, die, Rocky, die. And they let him fight his way out of it. They let him build himself up. Austin was the ringmaster, and they let him find himself. And I think that if there's anything missing from modern WWE in a way that I think was so much better back then, was that they let these guys fight for themselves. I think The Rock came out of Dwayne Johnson, the guy's genuine animosity for the fans who screamed that they wanted him to fucking die. One of Foley's best promos ever was Kane Dewey in ECW. And I think, yeah, the Attitude Era, that you had The Rock, that you had Austin, that you had Foley, these are not common guys. Like the most common guy from the Attitude Era is Triple H, and we all saw how well he did without all those other dudes. So there's something really special about, The Rock. I think that whatever it was, he was able to make that work, like you guys said, as a crossover star. Whatever fans liked about him, whatever we connected to, he's able to do that.
Sexism and homophobia, I think it was.
Yeah. No, we're talking about The Rock, not Kevin Hart, his friend. But it's like that he's able to be in these family movies, that he's able to be in your hard R-rated movies, that I think in the way that he paid his dues in wrestling, he did it again in movies. He was in the fucking Mummy Returns for 10 minutes. He was in Be Cool for 20. Like, the guy earned everything, and people liked him, and they wanted more, and then they got more, and they were happy with it. And I think there's just something, special about him. The president thing, is interesting. That may or may not happen. It wouldn't surprise me if it does, but
why would you want to, man? I mean, Schwarzenegger, he stayed around as governor for too long, and because of that, he didn't have the resurgence in movies he wanted. So I think that's going to be in Rock's mind.
I think one of the interesting things with The Rock, and again, because like Scott was talking about, when you were young and The Rock was still real to you, damn it. I remember when he hosted Saturday Night Live, how nervous I was as a wrestling fan, because I'm like, this is a chance for an actual wrestling character to break out and people see this and be like, oh, this is really talented and excellent. So when he went on there and he blew the doors off on that first SNL appearance, like as a fan, I felt proud. I was like, this is a win for us. This is great. This is all the mainstream people who judge pro wrestling as an art form are now seeing there is value to the athletes and the performers that are there. And I'm curious if you guys remember when he was on SNL and had that same sort of feeling, I guess.
Yeah, he got that Chris Kattan dust.
Yeah, he was on there, and even then, Triple H was trying to take his moment.
Well, it was the whole main event of WrestleMania 2000.
Yeah,
I won't stand for this Triple H hate anymore.
No, and I won't. The last thing I'll say about The Rock, which is a genuine compliment as a video game nerd, he's so fun to play in games.
Oh yeah,
and you realize how special he is when you play in games. Like, that he made everything count. Like, when he stomps on you and the way that he like shakes his leg before that last stomp, the way that, that last punch that he does, the people's elbow is a very silly move. It is 100% charisma, and it does fucking work.
Also, nobody sold a stunner better than The Rock.
No.
I mean, he was very generous in terms of that.
Yeah.
And then they would do it on house shows. I mean, you could just put The Rock and Austin out there for the dark match segment, give them nothing, and they're going to entertain the crowd for 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, there's Olympic gymnasts whose routine was just The Rock selling a stunner.
Oh, no. Don't. We're getting into Max Caster territory here. Pull it back.
Oh, we're okay. I didn't say a name.
Okay. Mike,
Roast of Larry Nassar coming next week. No, I'm just gonna run through all the accolades of The Rock. Corporate Rock, I thought was fantastic, and his feud with Austin. The Nation of Domination Rock, Hollywood Rock. This was when he came back as a heel, and you could tell he loved doing it.
The best Titantron ever, I would say, is Hollywood Rock.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
We got use out of that B-roll footage for like 8 years after. There was a digibeta of just that. And plug it in. Sorry. Tell us about how good The Rock is, so we know.
Him and Austin have the best wrestling package of all time. My Way for WrestleMania 17 with Limp Bizkit. Made Limp Bizkit good. Nobody got a bigger pop from the crowd besides maybe Austin. And Hogan. All right, I'd say that those are the only two guys that are in that. As far as matches, Brock at SummerSlam, Triple H ladder match at SummerSlam, Austin at 17, Austin at 19, Hogan at 18, the I Quit match with Foley at the Royal Rumble, Rock, Angle, and Hunter at SummerSlam. Backlash, Rock, Austin, Judgment Day, Triple H, and Rock for that Iron Man match, which, nobody thought was going to work, and it was awesome. Highest rated Raw in history. He's part of the most bought pay-per-view, which is WrestleMania 28. Inducted Ken Shamrock to the Impact Hall of Fame, and shouted out Ricochet. And the reason I bring those two things up is those are things he didn't have to do, and he did it. He made Vin Diesel look like a bitch recently by doing absolutely nothing. I think he could have made it in UFC, which is a crazy thing to say, but
yes, it is, Dan. Yes, it is. Continue.
No, I'm seriously. Look at Mark Hunt and all these. He's got I don't know, man. I mean, the guy was okay, maybe he wouldn't have been a big guy, but if Greg Hardy made it, who was a
test for steroids in UFC.
It depends on which UFC number we were at. Now they do. Okay. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Wrestler of the Year 2000, Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame 2007, 8-time WWE champion, 2-time WCW champion, 2-time Intercontinental champion, 5-time Tag champion, 5-time WrestleMania main event, Royal Rumble winner, CinemaCon 2012 Action Star of the Year, 2013 Kids' Choice Awards winner, 2015 Man of the Century from Muscle and Fitness, Mr. Olympia Icon Award, People Magazine Sexiest Man Alive, Hollywood Walk of Fame, People Choice Award, NAACP Image Award, Teen Choice Award, one of Time's 100 most influential people in the world, MTV Movie Generation Award, the 4th most followed Instagram celebrity in the world, and the Dwayne The Rock Foundation, and seems like a genuinely loyal guy. I mean, you look at his relationship with his ex-wife, and and the fact that she married his personal trainer, and they're all cool, and his ex-wife is running his damn company, as a child of divorce, as Mike is. It's nice to see divorced people getting along. God damn it, stop yelling. Sorry, my dogs are going nuts.
That's usually how divorced people get along.
But yeah, there's really, we could do an entire, we could do an entire hour on how great The Rock is.
But the most important fact, the only wrestler whose acting has not been criticized by Scott Chaplin. I think that.
Yes. Number one. Well,
you think he's a great actor, Scott?
Great actor. I mean, I enjoy the movies, but for what they are, I think they're very silly and hokey and kind of cheesy, and yeah, when I'm in the mood for that, for sure. Yeah,
you put some respect on South and Tails.
I would say better. I'd say better than Charles Bronson, not as good as Bruce Willis. Somewhere in the middle of those two guys.
Yeah, no, you're never gonna beat Willis and the Mel Gibsons of the world,
Yeah, if Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad had a baby during Jingle All the Way, you get The Rock, which the Big Show's also in.
Oh shit, you're right.
Oh well, that's a teaser for later in the episode, guys, for our Dynamite or Dud review. But The Rock and Austin, man, I mean, those are the two guys that when you ask Olympic athletes who their favorite wrestlers are, it's those two guys still. So.
Oh man, yeah. Remember that when they were showing that on Raw and SmackDown? It was Olympic athletes on the WWE, and they were and that's all they kept saying. My favorite wrestler is Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. And it's Olympic athletes are 17 years old.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it does kind of say the answer wasn't Roman, the answer wasn't Kenny, the answer wasn't even John Cena. It was those two guys.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, well, we blew enough smoke up The Rock's ass. I think it's time to roast the motherfucker. It's time for the roast of Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Robert, go for it.
All right. Jim Ross talks about when he first met The Rock, he only had $7 in his pocket, which impressed JR because $7 means you're rich in Oklahoma. The Rock is a member of the famous Samoan dynasty, a fact Vince McMahon didn't know because Dwayne always wore shoes. The Rock has an NBC sitcom about his life, and you just know Pat Patterson would have spent hours and hours watching a show called Young Rock. Triple H famously mocked The Rock in a DX segment. It was upon seeing Hunter in blackface that Stephanie first fell in love with him. The Rock's finishing move is the People's Elbow. People's elbow is what Vince McMahon suffers from whenever he has to shake a fan's hand. The Rock faced Mankind in an empty arena match, or as TNA calls it, a match. The Rock always talked about eating pie, which was a euphemism for vagina, much to the chagrin of fat kids everywhere. Guess getting an STD was safer than getting diabetes. This is my attempt at a Scott joke. The Rock left the WWE for Hollywood, though after seeing how cheesy those movies were, you should change his name to the Graded One. The Graded One.
Yes.
Several years ago, the WWE accidentally let The Rock's contract lapse. Imagine being that lawyer. We no longer have the Rock sign, but good news, we got Snitsky. The Rock seamlessly transitioned to a career in Hollywood, since both worlds are built on lies, politics, and like his match with Goldberg, having to do a job for Jews. Rocky Maivia had some great matches, but never faced Sid. Sid wasn't willing to do the job, even though everyone knows Rock beats scissors. Do you smell what The Rock is cooking? It's a great catchphrase, but it feels weird to talk about a wrestler cooking Rock and it not involving Jake Roberts. Rock was part of the WrestleMania 30 segment with Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan, where Hogan had his most embarrassing verbal gaffe ever. Rock is going to be in his first DC movie as Black Adam, or as Jim Ross calls him, Adam. This one's too mean. The Rock purchased the XFL since he had no lost cause to sink his money into after his father died. The Rock is going to someday be president. So at least he's already used to hearing large group of people chant, "Die, Rocky, die." And finally, The Rock is my favorite person living in Davie. Sorry, Mike.
Robert Karpeles, everybody. Robert Karpeles. All right, I'll go up. Before Rock, the SmackDown Hotel was just a fun name for a women's shelter. Some say that The Rock is nothing more than a few shitty catchphrases, and others are guys Rock's given trucks to. He started in the Cotton Bowl, which sounds like the game slaves play in Jackson Riker's backyard. He starred in Skyscraper, where he played a one-legged man who saves his family. So basically, Kerry Von Erich with a happy ending. Like Vin Diesel, The Rock kicked ass, and like Paul Walker, he knew when to exit a franchise. People love his movies. In fact, Jerry Lawler credits Moana for saving his marriage. It's hard to shit on The Rock. I mean, Doom was a bomb, but it certainly wasn't the first time a wrestler lost money fighting demons. They should have just cast Jake Roberts, and they could have filmed the entire thing at a La Quinta Inn. Ballers is for guys too dumb for Entourage. He starred in Snitch, which I thought was about Hulk Hogan and the wrestling union. He wanted to better understand his dad, so he got a degree in criminology. I do wish Rock switched his catchphrases up. What's your name? Eugene. It doesn't matter what your name is. He's got Down syndrome, Dwayne. Jesus Christ, he answered the question. Give him a sticker or a balloon or something. The first time he heard Die, Rocky, Die were from his mom's prayers before divorce courts. He once wrestled as Flex Cavana, which sounds like the name Triple H uses when he goes on secret gay vacations. The Rock returned to fight R-Truth and The Miz, which is the wrestling version of Guns N' Roses dropping Chinese Democracy. It's kind of like the UN, all the races coming together to accomplish nothing of consequence. His boob job made him look like a transitioning champion. He produced Fighting With My Family, which is ironic because he was produced from fighting within his family. He fought the first empty arena match back in the day when the only time a superstar worried about disease was when Scott Hall thought he got AIDS from wrestling Goldust. Never before has a Republican talked so much about the people. It's like Kane saying suck it while clutching his burned weenie. Or Kane also talking about the people. All right, that wasn't good. So this is probably the lowest thing. $7 isn't just the name of Rock's production company, but the amount of money his dad paid that 14-year-old to keep her mouth shut.
Jeez.
And finally, do you smell what the Rock is cooking? Yeah, Rock, it's 7 pounds of cod and 10 fucking egg whites, you disgusting weirdo. Of course your personal trainer ate your wife's pussy. There was nothing left to eat. That's it for me. Let's go, Mike Lawrence.
Right. Today we are roasting the master of the rock bottom. No, not Dan St. Germain. We're roasting the great one. No, not you, Bret Hart. The actual great one, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. The biggest Johnson in wrestling that isn't between Batista's legs. If The Rock isn't the biggest star in wrestling yet, he'll keep swallowing HGH flavored protein shakes till he gets there. You can't smell what The Rock is cooking because anabolics don't have a scent. He's related to Yokozuna, which is why he's always talking about pies and strudels, but is too afraid to eat them. He's a massive dude. You may not know this, but his legs are actually Uso twins. The Rock is the people's champion, not to be confused with John Cena, who is the People's Republic's champion. You know, I guess when he called Cena a Kung Pao bitch, he was telling the truth. Normally, we poke a lot of fun at the person we're roasting. We dig up a lot of dirt and shit on them as hard as we can. But since The Rock owns half of show business, I will not be doing that today. I'm going to be lighter on him than Dan and Robert in a New Jack roast. The punches I'm throwing at The Rock are going to have less impact than the people's elbow. Am I going soft in the hopes I get a job on Young Rock? Yes. Have I sold out? I certainly hope that's what happened. What's more narcissistic, that he made a sitcom about 3 different stages of his life that he flashbacks to from a future in which he's president, or that I think I'm up for a job I won't get because The Rock was listening to WrestleRoasts? He's hard to make fun of. Every insult about The Rock just makes me like him more. He left wrestling because he wanted to be famous. He runs a business with his ex-wife. He made Vin Diesel feel insecure about himself. These are things we should all aspire to, people. Dwayne's a cool, humble guy that's very loyal to the people he loves. Not every person we roast is a despicable piece of shit. There are some genuinely good human beings in wrestling. By the way, we're roasting JBL and Vince Russo next week. He's so strong that he can deadlift Ronda Rousey through a WrestleMania promo. If you don't fully know The Rock's backstory, then you are one of the millions and millions that have never watched his sitcom that I would gladly write for. Please hire me. Rock's dad was Rocky Johnson, a wrestler who was famous in his own right for being The Rock's dad. Dwayne luckily became his own man, which is why his Wikipedia has a filmography and awards section, and his dad's has a legal issues section. Only 2 good things Rocky Johnson did was having Dwayne and dying right before the speaking out movement hit wrestling. Rocky Johnson's legal history is like that Doom movie. The Rock would rather pretend both don't exist. The Rock joined the Calgary Stampeders and entertained the dozens and dozens of Canadian football fans. He got injured and couldn't make it in Canadian football, so he did the next worst thing and became a pro wrestler. Vince instantly knew he would be a star, which is why he had him jobbed to Ken Shamrock in 1998. Way to pick a winner, Vince. Vince wasn't sure he could give The Rock the belt because he was half black, but then he realized he could because he's also half Samoan. The Rock never forgets where he came from, which is why he'll always return to WWE and bury a promising young superstar. Did he pin Eric Rowan in 6 seconds? Yes, but look what it did for The Rock's career and no one else's.
You said promising.
What's that?
You said promising.
He came back to call Rusev a Chewbacca bitch. He cares. He named his production company $7 because before wrestling, he famously only had $7. I think a better name for the company could be, you could just get a day job, Dwayne. He was the star of Ballers, which is literally just Entourage on steroids. He cut some of the greatest promos of the late 90s and early 2000s. Then he tried to do those same promos again 10 years later, and they weren't as good. Well, you know what? That's your fucking fault for getting older. CM Punk has a Snickers on his butt because he's a candy ass. If you don't think that's funny, that's on you. John Cena thought he could get the upper hand on him, but wasn't ready to be called a box of Fruity Pebbles. That's right. You mess with a Scorpion King, you're going to get stung. And Rock, if you were offended by any of my jokes, I just want to say I'm sorry. I hope you still consider me for a writing job. And please don't blame me. I did this for Rikishi.
Oh, Mike Lawrence, that was great. You can check out his jokes on Love Island. Next up, Scott Chaplin, everybody. Scott Chaplin.
The Rock. In 1998, between a rock and a hard place was the space between Dwayne Johnson and Pat Patterson's erection for him. He got the catchphrase, know your role and shut your mouth from his dad's wedding vows. He's only the most electrifying man in all of sports entertainment because Snuka never got the electric chair. Fast and Furious, Rampage, Doom. Are these Dwayne's movies or his father's moods? The Rock is cooking, said British Bulldog as he took a hit before making an entrance at Wembley Stadium. Candy ass. What are things I'd write in a suggestion box at Wonka's Chocolate Factory? The Rock's posted so many gym photos, his veins are vain. He's 50% Samoan and 50% Brahma Bull testosterone. The SmackDown Hotel. Going down Know Your Role Boulevard on the corner of Jabroni Drive is also where Virgil tries to sell autographs. His private jets have fucked the planet worse than that time Jake Roberts stuck his dick in an anthole. The Rock's sideburns were on his face. Marty Jannetty's sideburns because he fell asleep in the sun. In WWE, the rules of rock, paper, scissors are simple. Scissors cuts paper, and Austin beats Rock. And finally, if The Rock is ever on Raw again, he'll be doing it for the million and just over 1 million of The Rock's fans.
Oh, Scott, the roast of The Rock. Great job, guys. Those were great.
Rocky.
Today we're gonna instead of Ain't That Swell or Show in Hell, we're gonna do a segment called Ain't That Swell or Show in Hell, and we're gonna decide whether or not The Rock, This Is Your Life, was good or bad. So far, it's a big Ain't That Swell for me. I loved it. I thought, look, I think it went too long? Sure, yeah, but it was like it was insanely entertaining for how weird, like kind of lame of a vehicle it was. Like, if you need any proof of that, like there was that Alexa Bliss, Mickey James, where they or maybe it was just Alexa Bliss. They did This Is Your Life thing, and I like Alexa a lot.
It was with Bailey. It was horrible.
Bailey, yeah, it was horrible, and I like Bailey a lot. So the only thing that watching this is I really wish he had rock bottomed one of the old people. Yeah, man. I mean, I thought it was, I thought the funniest actually part of it was either the guy bringing out the cake who looked like like if divorce became a guy, or at the very end of it, Hunter getting caught in balloons. If you guys didn't see it, like Hunter runs to the ring with a sledgehammer and he gets caught in balloons. But no, it's a big Ain't That Swell for me. We'll start with Robert. Robert, yay or nay? Thumbs up or thumbs down on this?
Normally when he gets caught in balloons, it's because he's titty fucking stuffed.
Do you
Wait,
remember when The Rock said that? The Rock was like something about one of his lines was sticking 50 balloons up Stephanie's ass. That was a random comment he made, I remember.
Anyway, this is your life. I think it's both, depending on how you look at it. I think this was the perfect example of you give him something and he's going to make the most of it. This segment went insanely long. I know there's stories out there about how it cannibalized the rest of this show from a production end. I can imagine people going absolutely nuts. Kind of. I feel like it's to have the same thing, like, oh no, you're throwing off our timing, but you're the two biggest stars that we have at this point. We may lose that Kai-en-Tai match later. Like, giving the fans what they want worked.
Yeah, Robert, I'm glad you brought that up, because Vince Russo, guy who we're going to be definitely taking to the woodshed next week, he was like really angry that it went over, and I'm like, oh, they didn't have time for your skull fuck Big Show's mom segment, like what other thing did you think was gonna have, like Pepper being cremated? What the fuck else were you doing on this show?
Yeah, Pritchard hates this segment for that. He said that this went 14 minutes over the slotted time.
Good. The best part of it is listening to Jim Ross try to do commentary during it, because he's clearly checked in. He's like, well, that's The Rock's football coach. Glad we got him out there. Like, it's the first time you start seeing AEW Jim Ross on television is somewhere in the middle of this. And it always bothered me more than anything else that the girl they cast to be The Rock's high school girlfriend was not remotely attractive when you compare her to The Rock. And I feel like that's something that would have gotten caught later on. Like, that would have pissed Vince off more than this going 20 minutes. Like, Dwayne could have got somebody better than her in high school. Like, that would have bothered him more than anything else.
But I think it's amazing in '99 that they got someone to look like Sonny now.
What's she gonna do now that OnlyFans is gone? Like, she put her back in jail.
Every girl that appeared on WWE that didn't have like a speaking role, that like wasn't Sable, was Pritchard obtainable.
Where do you think they got them? It was girls that Pritchard picked up from the local strip club. Here's $20. Don't say anything and stand here. That's where they got the old lady too. But he said all of his catchphrases. The fans were happy. It went way too long, but who gives a fuck? It's one of those segments where you remember it now and you see it in like these little 30-second, 1-minute video packages and go, oh, this was great. When you go back and watch the entire thing, it's a slog.
Huge slog. Yeah. Foley is awesome in it, just to acknowledge him. God damn, man. I mean,
dude, he's so good.
Talking about The Rock on the mic, what Foley is doing in that segment is so impressive. He's an all-timer for me too. Yeah, man, it went long. A thing with The Rock that always bothered me is the idea of what he is doing is awesome. Like The Rock and that character and those catchphrases he said and, speaking the way he spoke is so cool. It's the repetition of it that bothers me. It seems like it kind of took him over, where every Rock segment feels kind of the same. This is different people walking out, but you're getting the same result every time, and it takes 30 minutes. And at the end of the day, the actual content of what he's saying is just what he says to everybody. And I think that's a major issue I always had with The Rock. And this segment, yeah.
Mike, you a thumbs up or thumbs down on this segment? Remember, you are applying to write for Young Rock season 3 at this point, or 2, or whatever.
I'm gonna accept that I'm not getting hired. I don't love this segment. Here's the thing. Like I've said before, I did not watch it this time. I was out of wrestling during the Attitude Era. And when I go back and I watch stuff like this, it makes me okay with that because, it's so long. I think the actual time is like 23, 24 minutes. Like you could watch a Seinfeld in the amount of time of this segment. And there's only like 5 sentences. Like if you had to explain the whole thing, there's so little that happens for how long it is. Like you can't deny how over he is. You can't deny how much chemistry him and Foley have, but it just doesn't go anywhere. Like Scott said, the repetitiveness of it. It's look, man, it's hard to watch some of this shit in 2021 when he's mad at the girl because she only went to second base and he calls her a skank, and then everyone repeats that and also calls her a skank,
which isn't even correct, right? That's not what a skank is.
No.
All right, keep
going. No, they
sorry.
just hated women. This is but there is memorable parts of this. Yerpel the clown is funny, and I also think it's amazing that this is like a 23-minute segment. And there's a cake, and the cake doesn't end up on anybody. I think it's the only wrestling segment I've ever seen where they just take the cake away at the end.
I mean, it ended up on Percy Pringle after the segment, that's for sure.
But I wanted to say from a historical point, I looked up the results of this show, and this is like vintage Russo. Here's the matches from this. This was the September 27th Raw. And by the way, I think this is individually the highest rated segment in Raw history, right? It got like over 8 million. Yeah. So we have the Big Show defeating Chris Jericho by DQ in 2 minutes and 3 seconds. D'Lo Brown defeats Steve Blackman by DQ in 1 minute and 46 seconds. Kane and X-Pac defeat the New Age Outlaws by DQ in 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Mae Young and the Fabulous Moolah defeat Ivory in a 2-on-1 handicap evening gown match. Your longest match of the night so far at 2 minutes and 53 seconds.
Oh my God.
Chyna and Deborah defeat Jeff Jarrett and Tom Pritchard in 1 minute and 11 seconds. And your main event, The Rock defeats Triple H by DQ in a WWF Championship match in 7 minutes and 15 seconds. You can look back at the Attitude Era and you can defend it and you can love it. That sounds horrible to me.
Yeah, that's brutal, man. I think we were lied to. I think we're misremembering things. It's unfortunate.
Well, no, when you compare it to the Shanky segments that we got on Raw this week, I will take an Ivory against Moolah and Mae Young 1.5-minute match any day of the week than any segment that I watched on Raw.
Hey, Raw was rough this week, but NXT was great. And Dynamite, I thought, was even better, which means it's time for our segment, Dynamite or Dud.
Was there music supposed to play after? Why was
and Dan said there was, yeah.
It's actually my favorite segment. Leave Dan hanging.
Hour one. We're going to break this down by hour. Moxley and Kingston come out, and it's a swerve because they're attacked by T 2.0 and Danny Garcia. Texas Tornado match 2.0 versus Sting and Darby Allin. Sammy Guevara versus Sean Spears. Hey, shout out to Sammy Guevara. Congratulations, Sammy Guevara, friend of the show, on getting engaged. Don Callis backstage with Christian. Dan Lambert Mania. Jericho backstage. Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks. And a promo with Britt Baker. Mike, what do you think about this first hour?
This was pretty great for the most part. There was a lot of energy. That Sting and Darby match versus I don't think you get better than that in terms of a quick, still longer than the main event of a 99 Raw. Making
the double
everybody
scorpion lock was awesome.
Yeah, the double scorpion lock, the no selling the table. It's
so fun.
If they were up against opponents I cared about, maybe that would bother me, but these guys are chumps. And so it was great.
The Darby rail walk, that was amazing.
Yeah, the Spears Guevara match. I'm a big Sammy fan. I don't think he's been on the show enough. This was a great showcase for him. I like that, unlike the Cody baby thing, it's like they announced the engagement and then it was incorporated into the match. Spears was a dick. Tully is the fucking best. I tweeted on our WrestleRoasts that he looks like the uncle who becomes the magician when the magician doesn't show up. Dan Lambert fucking sucks. I'm not a fan.
Dude, it was a fun promo though. I thought it was a fun promo.
It was awesome.
It's just this promo was how we all sound to Scott. Is what this promo was.
How you guys sound.
But how we also all look to Scott. But Dude,
We're not all dressed like the crocodile hunter.
I mean, it's so funny that it's like he's with Nunez and Masvidal in Miami, actual relevant current stars, right? And I'm not the biggest UFC fan, but I know that they're like active.
Junior Dos
stars.
Santos is a pretty big star. I mean, I know he's past the twilight. No, but he still was a big star at some point.
And Arlovsky was on Bully Beatdown, which, you know, speaking of JBL, but I think that this was, and then the Young Bucks match was fine. It's getting a little tiresome, the amount of interference and stuff, but it worked. And the fact that they're setting it up with the steel cage thing, I thought worked. But the Lambert thing, like I said, I'm not a fan. And then the Men of the Year come out and they attack Archer, but Lambert has goons and they don't do anything. It was just
that I did not love, but
yeah. And it's also, he did this in TNA a few years ago, this same gimmick. He's just yelling, like, dude, if he came out and brought out Max Caster, that would have been awesome, because he's shitting on cancel culture and all that. The fact that Tony Khan is okay with this douche nozzle blabbing, but you know, the fucking, like,
Max Caster is over there on eBay selling his pants.
the Acclaimed aren't even in this, you know, tag team eliminator thing, and they were the number 2 team. So
They've already been eliminated, Mike.
Scott, what do you think of this first hour?
I thought it was fun, man. It's one of those things where, I mean, I don't remember a bad thing even remotely occurring in the first hour. Someone bring it up, I might agree with you. And you know,
the one thing is, I don't think they should have put a mic in front of Dante Martin.
Oh, I thought that was sweet. And you know what else it was? It was cool because he really did shine last week, and now he got to have a little moment after. I don't know. I liked
it. I mean, he's not great on the mic, but at least
I thought Christian was good. I thought most of the promos on this first hour were great.
Yeah,
Callis
and they
great.
showed clips from last week, so I thought it worked.
Yeah. I don't know. The first hour just had me, and dude, it's one of those things. I mean, look, it's nowhere near Attitude Era in terms of how many people are watching, but the feeling of just, oh, God damn, I wish I could be there.
Yeah.
Is insane. I mean, next week they're going to be in Milwaukee, and I'm like, I'd like to be in Milwaukee. It's the first time I've ever thought that. So they're doing something that feels really cool. And I'm sleepy of a day of fucking work and running around, and then the show wakes me up. The stinger wakes me up, man. It's crazy. I didn't even watch fucking WCW, and I'm sitting there acting like I give a shit about this guy. It's awesome.
Robert, what do you think of this first hour?
God damn it. I love this first hour. It's like there's so many things that I would probably want to pick apart, but at the end of the day, this was a fantastic 60 minutes of television for a wrestling show in front of a live crowd. The audience elevated shit that shouldn't have worked, and every segment made sense. And I was surprised, you know, bringing Moxley and Eddie Kingston out there to have them get jumped. The crowd sings Wild Thing. They're all pumped up and excited. The 2.0, I love Everrise. I don't care. I put them over.
Yes.
I think I love them when they were in
Mike's
NXT.
wrong on this one. Mike's wrong.
They were great when they did their little videos online. They were perfect for Sting and Darby as the foils. I could have lived without JR and Tony Schiavone keep bringing up, this is Sting's first match since 2001. It doesn't really help at all. You're pointing out like this dude is older than dirt and you haven't seen him since the last Nitro.
Cool. I like that.
They kept bringing it up. Also, I can't stand Bryce Remsburg's facial expressions. That dude
the only time JR
stop.
struck out big time in this first hour was that first joke when he bombed with, I've seen wrestling with shadows. This is fighting with shadows.
Fighting with shadows.
I was like, you should be a WrestleRoasts host.
I love the Sammy Guevara Sean Spears. It was a great Sean Spears match. That jump up onto the top rope before he did the cutter was really cool. I didn't love the fact that it was 2 segments in a row where a guy jumps another guy, but fuck it, who cares? The crowd loved it. It was fun. The Christian Don Callis thing was there. They kept talking as if there wasn't a match like a week ago, which I thought was kind of weird. Like, it wasn't Christian, like, I beat your guy last week. It's like, you know, you're going to get your 5-star match. We already saw them wrestle. We didn't get a 5-star match. Move on. I like the Dan Lambert stuff a little bit. I thought it was fine. It was like Pete Rose with the I left tickets for Bill Buckner, but he couldn't pick them up. But then to your
come on,
point,
the Pete Rose thing is like my favorite
oh, I
celebrity.
love the
thing
how
ever.
about it
That's
thing.
like
I
the
use
best
that
celebrity.
in my real life all the time. It sucked though that Archer comes out when they're like, "You guys are all a bunch of pussies," and Archer's like, "I'm gonna come fuck you guys up," and then two guys that are shorter than me, one guy in a pink shirt, beat the fuck out of him, and he just sits there. And then they play his music. It wasn't laid out, but I really enjoyed the Jurassic Express Young Bucks match. This was one of the most fun Bucks matches experiences for me, which surprised me. I liked using Kenny in it.
Yeah.
I liked the callback to Rampage. I like that it finished with them laying out Christian and Jurassic Express. This was vintage Attitude Era stuff of using your top talent to move the story forward to get people to buy a pay-per-view. It made me so depressed thinking about how we watched 3 hours of Raw that was so lifeless and dead. When every one of these segments put in front of the crowd, the audience was into it. They understood the characters. It was perfect. And it's cool that this is where the show ended and we don't have to talk about anything else.
Wait, also shout out to JR. He was so good. It sounded like they made him record his shit earlier in the day. It all sounded like sound bites. It was like he was.
Yeah, no, it was really good. Besides that one line, it was really good.
Dude, he's like Big Magic Mike Lee. Yeah, Big Magic. If Moxley gets a hold of him, he might disappear.
Can we admit that one guy in Everrise just looks like Bulldog off the juice?
Oh, for sure. But hey, man, that's a healthy bulldog. Let's do this.
He's way better on the mic than Bulldog. Hour 2.
Dude, they rule. They're so funny. Them and Brandon Cutler, dude. Shout out to like
Brandon
jabronis that should be paid a lot of money for being jabronis. They are very good at what they do.
That guy in Everrise, though.
I would definitely say, because I know this is segging into our next thing. You know, you got Cody had QT, the Bucks had Cutler, and Kenny had Nakazawa. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Hit it, Dan.
All right. Well, speaking of 2 out of 3, it's time to get into hour 2. We start out with the Factory having a segment with the great Paul White and Tony Schiavone. We have a Jade Cargill promo. We have the Ricky Starks segment with Brian Cage and Taz's stable. We have a promo backstage with Chavo and Andrade, Thunder Rosa, and Penelope Ford
at 9:30.
Brock Anderson is back.
9:22.
A John Moxley promo, which I thought was fantastic, and MJF versus Jericho, which I thought was really good. Other than the fact that Jericho really wasn't selling the labors, I thought it was great. For me, it started out kind of weak and then it ended strong. But Robert, what did you think of the second hour?
I watched the first hour. I'm like, this is a really good show. Comes back from break and there's Matt Hardy. And I looked at the time like, it's 9:01. We've officially transitioned. Look, obviously the Big Show QT Marshall match is my dream that I've manifested between a dude that I hated working with and a guy who's made me love watching AEW. The QT Marshall expression on there was gold. The segment was.
He's finally figured out a new face.
Yes, one face. Someone pointed out to me though, like if WWE did this segment a year ago, the audience would have shit on it, but because AEW did it, they love it. I'm like, yeah, because AEW has gained this sort of loyalty from their fan base. Is the match going to be the worst thing ever? Probably, but they showed Big Show's ass on television. That Taz Hook Ricky Starks thing
is obsessed with guys' asses. He did the Paul White ass thing. Then he did, remember with Cody, he said, I'm going to whip your ass. No, I'm going to literally whip your ass. What Scott said about it was amazing.
Look, I think that, the Taz stuff, it was weird because the crowd loves Taz. The crowd likes Ricky Starks. I don't think the crowd likes Brian Cage. This is the only segment that feels super WWE in that everyone is miscast and they will not change the trajectory. That Death Triangle segment was super awkward because they're talking and then Andrade just walks onto camera as if he wasn't standing a foot and a half away from him. Penelope Ford, Thunder Rosa was not great. Brock Anderson has pure charisma and I can't wait to watch him get his head kicked off. And then Moxley comes on there and I don't know what the fuck was going on, but that was an awesome promo. Like this, he suddenly realized, I'm a main eventer. I should probably remind you guys of that and get everybody excited. And then I like the MJF Jericho main event. I think probably when we do high spot, everyone's high spot's going to be the fans singing the Jericho thing. Yes, it was manufactured a little bit. You know, AEW tweeted it out. Jericho said it earlier, but it was a great fucking moment. I mean, it was a genuine, like, this is why you watch wrestling moment. Though it was weird that he doesn't get entrance music, but he still gets pyro. That pissed me off. That was a
Hey,
weird
did you
little
also
thing.
see they were announcing his name and he started moving his hands real quick, like cut it.
Yes,
stop.
yes, that
was
poor,
awesome.
the poor. I think it was Dasha was out there. I loved when Jericho or an MJF grabbed the camera. I thought that was a cool little moment. Jericho
Oh yeah, like
punching
The
in
Rock.
it was well, yeah,
throwback
it was
to
like
The
the
Rock.
Rock. The finish was kind of stupid. He's like, I'm okay with hitting you with a bat, but I can't use the Judas effect because that would be. But the referee still wasn't looking.
Oh,
No, the ref still
I didn't notice that. Oh,
she hadn't turned. They hadn't turned around yet, and so when he lost, it was kind of like he kind of looked stupid. But I'm thrilled that Jericho won. I mean, sorry, that MJF won. I'm glad the announcers told the story of Jericho's worn down from all the labors, even if he wasn't really selling it. And at the end of the day, you put over a young talent that's going to be your top star. So that's a home run for me.
Yeah, Mike, what do you think of the second hour?
Yeah, I mean, the Jericho not selling the labors, I mean, is the first time on WrestleRoasts history we'll say, man, he didn't look out of shape enough. I thought, I mean, yeah, I agree with that in some ways. I mean, the booking was a little all over the place. I definitely would have had Gage be the fourth labor and have him with like bandages and stuff this week. But I thought that, yeah, there was some fun stuff on this, and there was some, you know, the QT Paul White thing. I thought that was the most WWE thing in the sense that, you know, they're very efficient at promos a lot of times in this company. And, you know, I always, you know, give credit to the Miro stuff. Even, you know, Brock talking was Brock talking, but it was short and it was sweet. And now, you know, you want to see this match. But this thing dragged, man. It was like 7-8 minutes. It was just fucking long, and you know, like the most important thing to Paul White was, I want the crowd to think I'm gonna cry like I would in WWE, but then I'm gonna own, yes, that is my ass, and I'm proud of it. So that was kind of stupid to me. But I think my only complaint, really, besides that segment sucked, but is that I didn't love the way that the Rusev Kingston thing is set up. I'm sorry, Miro Kingston, where Miro just calls out Kingston. I think Kingston's the dude who should call out Miro. I
agree with that, but I did love "I Will Serve God During the Day and My Wife at Night." That was awesome.
That was fantastic. Yeah, that was great. I mean, you look at the amount of stuff on this show, the amount of things that they're pushing at once, and you know, the real positive I could say is a lot of it is working. Do I think that this is the best pay-per-view they've had yet on paper? Absolutely not. But these fucking wrestlers are over with these fans. It's exciting, and you know, with the whole Rampage thing, they had a very delicate thing to do on this episode, which was get you excited for it, but not give it away. And it's like, if you just look at the TV, yeah, maybe Punk is coming, but you're not sure, and that's how it should be. I think
which is amazing. And is it bold or is it a weird save? What do you think them not announcing Punk is? Because the weird save, what I mean by that.
Before you get into this, what did you say about QT?
Oh, dude, every QT Marshall segment is just like a deleted scene from Grown Ups. It's like if Grown Ups became a series on ABC Family or something. And I think the big issue with QT and even the Big Show, even though, you know, he is this guy who's been in the business for so long and he's a giant, and you get to be famous when something's wrong with you like that. And it shouldn't be these guys. It could be, you know, that's typically the idea is why QT when it could be anybody else. But with that being said, and maybe it is just the crowd reacting to it, you sit there and you go, well, they're hitting their marks, it's working, It's odd to me. Every time I watch a QT Marshall segment, I always go, that worked. I wish it wasn't him, but that worked.
Scott, you're a nerd. QT
That's some
Marshall
Christian
is the
shit, too.
greatest. You don't know what you're talking about. He's the best.
I think the
you're
problem
wrong.
too is, well,
He might be good.
Last week we set up
He's terrible.
that Shivani's son was a wrestler. Now he's not even a part of the thing anymore. Like, if you're gonna do that, which they've already done that a lot, but shouldn't it be like Paul White and son of Shivani against QT and toilet
Son
paper
of
man?
Shivani is the greatest wrestling name I've ever heard.
I said that last
Brock
week. I thought this
Anderson-
was going to be a 6-man and Tony was going to get involved some way.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome because why else do you have Guy in a big coat and Solo?
A New Balances on a pole match.
Yeah, fucking a guy who's wearing his own paper mache arts and crafts outfit. It's fucking terrible.
It's not good, but it was a great episode of Dynamite. Fantastic.
Good fun. And dude, there's almost a part of it with like AEW fan, or at least us. It's when you do see a QT Marshall segment, right? You are enjoying yourself. It's almost like they're serving the Botchamania part of our fandom. It's unbelievable what's occurring, where we're sitting there going, yes, inject this into our veins, inject this duty into our veins. It's so fun. It's
the way that it works,
what an
where it's
interesting
like,
company.
Like they do it at exactly like 9:05. We're like, hey, we gave you a great fucking hour. We did our job. Now we have to do our other job of putting this guy who runs the office on television.
Good time.
All right.
Dude, Brock Anderson, we've acknowledged that he looks more like John C. Reilly than Arn Anderson, right?
Oh, and I loved the MJF Jericho match. I would have done this at the pay-per-view, but it was still fucking fun.
I mean, look, unless because you know how what if Jericho comes out next week and challenges him again? I'll fucking kill myself. I swear. That'll be on a Patreon. But I will kill myself.
I mean, honestly, I think that part of the reason why they did this, and I know nothing, is you need somebody to interrupt CM Punk. And
Ooh.
now that MJF is done,
but Darby's going to be the guy.
But you never know how that's going to.
Okay,
I think the Darby thing is a weird ruse. Like Punk will want to face him at some point, but I think him coming out there and MJF tearing into him as the first, because you need a big match for All Out. MJF has nothing to do. You can give Darby something else somewhere else. I also don't think that the fans necessarily want to see Punk go up against their burgeoning baby face, because they want to just cheer Punk and boo whoever the hell he's facing.
Well, and that's a great point. Also, I think with MJF is he's never lost, right? He's never lost in a singles. Oh yeah, okay. I would assume his record is better than anybody else's, and so if Punk wins him, maybe storyline they can go, oh wow, Punk beat the number one guy, so the rankings, blah blah blah. Even though they need to destroy the rankings soon because they're hiring big name guys, and they just got to fucking drop the rankings. But that could happen. I think we're getting Darby at All Out because it's like it's a fun fan service thing. Everybody's excited, and then you don't have MJF on the show. But at the end, this moment where CM Punk wins his first match back, MJF attacks him. Because you're already going to have the Chicago crowd is going to see him the Rampage before, the Dynamite before, and this week's fucking show. So having his first match end with him getting his ass kicked, I don't think people will truly be upset, but it will be an awesome moment where they go, wow, we really hate MJF for this. And the boos will be insane.
Here's the weird thing, though, with Darby. If you do Darby and Punk, what do you do with Sting? Because now you have way too many situations going on in one area. Is Punk going to interact with Sting?
He can play cards with Colt Cabana backstage.
I guess, but also with Sting is you get this moment of CM Punk, just nodding his head at Sting. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, I agree with Scotty.
Boing.
100%.
Scott, that also could have happened if Punk stayed the rest of 2014. But the one thing I want to say is, because I know we all have expectations for this Rampage show. The one, it's a criticism we give of AEW, and I hope that they don't do this. They have to let Punk have his moment and let it breathe and not rush it. When you watch like a Hogan return in 02, and it's like, it's a little self-indulgent, the 4 or 5 minutes of just crowd applause, but I think that's important. And to Robert's point, having someone that can then interrupt that is good, but you gotta at least let the guy have his moment back in his town.
Unless the show opens with Darby comes out, he stands there waiting for like, dude, I'm not joking, a full 3 minutes, just have the crowd chanting CM Punk, and finally the music hits, he comes out and cuts someone interrupting him, it kind of would have to be MJF, right? Unless CM Punk called out Darby.
I think the way you originally said it was right. I think you have Punk come out, do the promo. I think you have Darby interrupt. And then I think you have Punk and Darby at the pay-per-view, and then MJF cuts him off. Remember when Naito won the IWGP championship and they immediately transitioned to Kenta kicking his head off?
Yeah.
That was fucking awesome.
Oh, it's the best. Yeah, just heartbreaking.
Just rip that off.
How about this? Because you do need the Punk moment. I would assume he goes on first because you want him to go long. Give him that freedom, obviously, and then we'll shorten all the other shit. We'll shorten the private party match. But you have him come out by himself. You have him cut his welcome back promo, his purpose promo, whatever the fuck it is, and then all he's got to do is look into the corner of the building and go, "And I accept," and then it's just Darby standing, high up in the risers. And then you got your fucking match. Let's go.
Yeah, but in the darkest timeline, this opens with Tony Khan in the ring introducing Punk.
Oh, very possible. Very possible.
Guys, you'll never guess who I procured for you all.
Papa, please give me my allowance. I think that they're going to close with it. You look at the card. It's Cargo.
Well, they can't close with it, Mike, because the main event is bigger than Punk returning, which is obviously John Moxley against Garcia.
Which will work and will be awesome.
All right, Scott.
It's going to be great. You're going to have some Ever Rise in
the
there.
The cargo match will be short. The cargo match will be a squash. The
God willing.
Private party thing will probably open, but they will want people to watch their whole show and then end on Punk. I think
you put Punk in the middle of this show, buddy. I think you have Private Party and Jurassic Express open, and then you do the Punk thing.
No, I think
if it was
you
WWE,
open with him
at Punk host the show.
Hold on, you open with him at. The thing you're not understanding is it's 10 o'clock at night on a Friday. You're going to lose people by 11 o'clock at night for the most part. You want the most people to see this, so it's people that are watching SmackDown and going over and flicking over to AEW. So whatever closes SmackDown, you're going to flip over to Rampage, and you're going to see a packed crowd chanting for CM Punk, and then he comes out there and they explode. It's like they're doing the old Saturday Night's main event where you're opening with your true main event. That's why they're putting that Moxley kid in there in the main event against a big star like Garcia. You want to give the audience, you want immediately the trending topic in the world to go from SmackDown to CM Punk. And they're going to take that and then they're going to run with it, and it's going to wind up eclipsing SummerSlam.
Well, that seems like a seamless SummerSlam prediction preview segment.
Hey, dude, also AJ Lee hopefully
God damn
comes back soon. I'm sorry, dude. I'm fanboying out about CM Punk for once. He's probably going to break my heart in 2 weeks when he walks out or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then he'll be a correspondent on AEW backstage.
What if they cut to like CM Punk in the FS1 backstage segment? He's not even in Chicago. He's in the studio by himself, maybe with Mark Henry, like having the worst fucking interview of all time.
Yeah, he's hosting the Dark Rampage Elevation YouTube special.
Hey, the most important thing that we're bearing the lead on is how Excalibur relates to Punk. That's really important. Hey, it's that guy that I wrestled with in 2001.
Yes. And then the pause, and they don't know what to call him. It's CM Black.
Phil Brooks.
Yeah, it's Malachi Brooks.
Yes.
Is that the guy who wrote an issue of Drax the Destroyer?
All right, folks. Let's stop talking about Mr. Girl on the floor. It's time for the SummerSlam predictions. Start out with Alexa Bliss versus Eva Marie. Evolution. Who do you got, Scotty?
I will say this. I don't hate this storyline as much as everybody.
I don't hate the storyline. I hate the wink, but I don't hate the storyline.
Yeah, it's all been like so silly. It's very who gives a shit. Even Marie is kind of working. I think she'll do like 2 moves that make you go, wow, she did get better, because everybody's standards are so low, you know? And yeah, obviously Alexa Bliss will win, right? I mean, unless the storyline is she loses and things get a little darker. You know,
very possible. Mike, who do you got?
Me going to the bathroom.
Robert,
so
who do you got?
even if it's the opening match.
Oh,
that is less a joke about the match being shitty and more about Mike's Crohn's. Robert, who do you got?
I think that the winner of the match is gonna be Eva Marie, and I think she's gonna win because Dewdrop's gonna wind up hitting her. And then she's still gonna be able to do her I win thing.
I'd be into that. Why Dewdrop should become Lily, right? She should become possessed and just dress like Lily.
Like dress as a doll?
Yeah, fuck it. No?
I don't know. I mean, it can't be any worse. Almost an AJ versus Orton and Riddle. Who do you got, Scotty?
I am going to enjoy this match very much. This is a tough one. I really like AJ and Almost as a tag team, even though I feel like they haven't done much as a tag team in terms of like matches.
Oh, dude, it was so funny on Raw. They listed the people they beat, and it was like 3 teams.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Where I go, oh, I'd like them to have a longer reign, but what does the Raw tag title reign mean? So give it to Orton and Riddle. Have that moment where Orton gets the RKO on Almost by, getting the assist from, but having Riddle boost him up in some way. And Riddle and Orton are gonna win.
Mike, who do you got?
I think that you'll do Riddle and Orton, and then have the wacky they don't get along, then they'll fight kind of thing. And I will still probably be in the bathroom because of my Crohn's.
Right. You actually want to see this match. It's just, you have an illness. Robert,
I'll bring the computer into the toilet.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. We've best of both worlds. Robert, who do you got? Almost an AJ or Orton and Riddle?
I'm going beyond just the prediction, and I'm going with what the finish should be, which is AJ climbs on top of Omos, leaps off, gets caught with an RKO and pinned. That's the visual.
Yes.
They've set it up a couple weeks in a row. It's literally the only thing I'm hoping for, because they've done that spot with AJ jumping off of Omos. That's got to be the only reason Randy Orton gives a fuck about this.
And I think the show should open with this, dude. It's a huge crowd.
Oh, I agree.
This shit is dope. Open the show with this. We love everybody in the match. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Are
agree.
we also predicting the amount of COVID infections in Vegas?
I assume they're already all coming with COVID. I agree. I think that it's going to be Orton and Riddle. I think they're going to be short-term champions, and I think they're going to put it back on Almost and AJ, because I don't think the story is done being told there.
By the way, have they made a porno called Coming with COVID yet?
Not yet. I think that's every porno, though. Sheamus versus Damian Priest. Will Damian Priest win Sheamus's belt of gold? Who do you got, Mike?
Oh man, this is rough. I'm gonna say that Priest is gonna win. Then he's gonna look into the audience to stare at an empty seat that he thought Bad Bunny would be sitting in.
Scott, who do you got?
Yeah, this is genuinely worse than QT and Big Show. I don't like shit like this. It feels so empty, so beyond empty. Damian Priest wins because who cares? Truly, who cares? It makes me question life and time when Sheamus is wrestling. I go, is it 2007, 2012, 2021?
Dude, he's been at that company.
Time is a flat circle.
Yeah, he's been at that company 12 years at this point.
Oh, it's such an empty feeling. And I know the matches are good too. Like, there's that little piece in the back of my head that goes, oh, they're working stiff. People's chests are raw from chops. and yet I don't give a fuck. It's a bummer, and it's it's WWE's
But
fault.
Scott,
It's not Sheamus's, but
Scott, you were happy about that Christian match last week. I thought you were a fan of flat circles.
We'll
You're
get
talking
to
about the
that in
shape
high
of
spot,
Kristen's
low
face?
spots. Speaking of empty feelings, Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal with the added
Well,
stipulation.
hold on. I want to be able to defend.
Oh
Sheamus
shit! I'm
and
sorry,
Jinder.
Robert.
I think Priest will win, but I will say, Scott, when they had a Damian Priest Sheamus match a few weeks ago, it surprised me in how good it was.
Very good. I agree.
And I think when you have a full stadium of people, I think you're going to get a pretty decent match out of this. I think you're going to be surprised. And next week when you're on here, you'll be like, hey, that didn't suck as much as I thought it was going to.
I promise you it will not affect it. It triggers whatever sadness I have. I go into deep, dark thoughts. It's truly the most boring shit in the universe.
Post-traumatic Sheamus disorder, I got it.
Yeah, man, there's something awful about it.
And Scott's saying that in a Danny Garcia shirt that says Fanny Garcia.
Yeah, and I made it, obviously.
All right, next up we
he
got
made it out of Nick Camarado's jacket.
or his back hair. Next up we got Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal. The stipulation being that Jinder can't have Veer and Shanky there, but Drew is allowed to have his sword there because I guess he's gonna kill Jinder. My prediction is it's Drew, but my prediction is this will be the worst match of the show. Scott, what do you think?
I think this storyline over this week, like right now, Vince is gonna find a way to make these guys from Afghanistan. And we are going to see whatever his thoughts are on that situation in this match. And I think heads are getting cut off.
Oh, Mike, I'm sorry.
Scott, that's only because they can't go to Saudi Arabia right now.
It's like Saudi Arabia because he's always wanted to chop up a reporter. He's always wanted to chop up.
Oh my god!
Can you imagine if they Khashoggi'd Meltzer?
Oh man, Scott. I mean, Mike, who do you got for this?
Oh man, I
think your Crohn's will be acting up again for this match.
Dude. Yeah, dude, Mike is in the ER during this show.
It's that shitty. I would say that Drew is the favorite wrestler of the three guys who also have swords named after their moms who passed away. I think Drew wins this, and yeah, this is terrible. And I know, like today, Jinder was defending his his title reign from a few years ago and saying he is actually a great champion. No, he's not. He sucked, and this will suck too.
Robert,
right.
Friend of Drew
and friend of Jinder. So this is super uncomfortable, but I think the thing is they're both friends. They want to make this as good as possible. So they're going to go out there and beat the shit out of one another. The booking sucks. Nobody cares. This sword is fucking death. Drew has to win. If he loses in front of a live crowd again, he needs to fall on the sword and be done with it.
Oh, jeez.
And yeah, by the way, when we shit on these guys, I do notice that it is the writing, right? Jinder Mahal might be fucking awesome. I really don't know.
Dude, he's not good.
He's never been written well once.
No,
so.
he's not good in the ring. You know, like he had the the Bollywood boys, those guys were really great.
Yeah,
and his music is like legitimately one of my favorite theme musics.
Dan dances to it like the like the end of the movie.
That's how I get Sarah in the mood. I dance erotically.
Dan listens to it while ordering Indian food, but has it so loud that the guy on the phone can't hear him.
God damn it! I said tiki masala. All right.
Hey, what do you think of Great Khali as a worker?
Scott, we have 17 matches to get through. Let's
yeah. All right.
Hey, you guys got any of that naan?
No. Edge versus Seth Rollins. My prediction is Edge will win and Seth will somehow scream so loud that his baby will go back inside Becky Lynch. No, I think this is going to be a really great match. This program, they've really knocked out of the park. Both guys have done a great job. Seth, I genuinely love Seth again, which I've been wanting to love him because he's such a talented worker. Scott, who you got in this?
Yeah, this is my favorite program on SmackDown. And I think Edge is gonna win, and I think it's gonna be match of the night.
Robert.
It's going to be a great match. I think Seth's going to win, grabbing the tights or something like that. So he has the win to talk about, and then Edge spears the shit out of him after. But I think that Seth is the guy you have to go with going forward as one of your top heels post draft, and Edge can afford to lose the match and still get the great visual moment, because we have baby faces winning every other match so far.
Mike.
I mean, if you put over a 47-year-old Canadian at the expense of a younger, hotter guy in his 30s, you might as well just be Rampage. I will say I think that this is going to be match of the night. I think that it should be Seth that wins, and I hope it is.
Have you turned? Are you back to being a Seth Rollins fan, Mike?
I think that this version of the character works. I think that, it helps that this is what we needed from Edge, where it's not Edge versus Orton. It's Edge seeing a guy that was there when he was gone and being excited and wanting to work with him, and them putting together the best program they can.
The Usos versus Rey Mysterio and Dominic. Mike, who do you got?
I do not have the court of Pensacola finally getting Uso. Fucking the fact that that nothing happened with that is disgusting.
Leave him alone, man.
Yeah,
what's that?
Come on. He beat the
This guy hates a
system.
party.
I hate a party and I love pedestrians.
So, Mike, have you ever been to Florida?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
survived.
normally I'm against hit and runs, but if it's Florida, it's a victimless crime. Mike?
I think that the Usos are attached to your big dog, so I think the Usos will win.
Robert, who do you got?
Usos win. Dominic eventually turns on Ray, because that seems to be where they're going with this.
No, is that no?
They've been setting up the last few weeks.
100%. That's where they're going.
Boo.
He's going to reveal his dad really was Eddie, and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
God,
That's going to be
got?
the death of this poor kid. I mean, unless I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
Come
Being
on,
Eddie's
the death of this
son,
poor
I
kid
think
will be 10 years
it's not
later in a motel
genetic. He'll
room.
be fine.
Oh no. Oh no.
Scott, who do you got?
I mean, I want the Usos, so I'll say the Usos.
Next up, Nikki Ash versus Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, a program they have legitimately put a lot of work into and has legitimately not worked. I'm gonna go, dude. I guess I'm gonna go with Charlotte. And somehow Rick will still find a way to bitch about her booking when she wins clean. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully this sets up a Becky return. Scott, who do you got?
No, I think Nikki Ash has to become the superhero, right? It's SummerSlam where
I think Charlotte's gonna Velcro her shoes together and she's gonna get a quick pin.
Dude, if the idea of this gimmick is to make little kids feel strong, I mean, Jesus Christ, like what a terrible time to be a kid right now. Give the kids a win. Let Nikki Ash win. In a real way. We won't give a shit, but maybe some little girl somewhere will, and she's gonna have to wear a mask this fall in school. Fucking so just
the only problem,
that,
Scott, is that if you've been watching Raw the past couple of weeks, and Lord knows Robert and I have, Nikki is not over. She's just not over.
Yeah, again, the writing's not over. Yeah, it's all
Robert, who do you got?
I think Rhea and Charlotte are going to have a great match. They're both going to have heart attacks and drop in the ring, and Nikki's going to fall on them and win, since that seems to be how they've booked her this whole time.
Mike.
Oh, man. I finally got out of the bathroom. Oh no!
Yeah, that's perfect. Next up, we got Goldberg versus Lashley for the WWE title. Mike, who do you got? Okay, come on.
Hey, and the
All
match
right.
is over.
I've got Gage Goldberg and Hook ending up in therapy together 10 years from now and talking about how their dads damaged them by putting them on television every week.
Dude,
I think that Lashley should win this. So maybe Goldberg does, but dude, that segment, that final promo and the whole thing, like Goldberg has just wanted to wrestle because he hates that his kid's on YouTube Googling him. Has been the whole character. Like, he could look me up, but he's got to see me really be a wrestler. It's like, he has. You just don't wrestle long enough for him to pay attention.
the
But
big story
I
in
think
the Dirt
that,
Sheets this week is Riddle and Goldberg have squashed their beef.
yeah, I hope Lashley wins.
Robert.
Oh, it's got to be Lashley. And if this is the one thing from his son's Google search history that he needs to correct, then his kid's really good at clearing his browser.
Yeah. Scotty.
I miss Brock Lesnar.
All right, next up we have Roman Reigns, our main event. Should be an awesome match.
You
Roman
got
Reigns.
Bianca and Sasha.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Well,
You
semi-main
raped
because I'm really excited for this match. Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. There was a scare this week that they weren't going to be able to do it because they got pulled for some house shows. This program, like Edge and Seth, I think has been really good. I think it's been way stronger than a WrestleMania program, and I love the WrestleMania match. So the match is different from the program. I got Sasha on this one. I think that they're going to want Bianca to chase. I don't think Bianca is going to chase until like WrestleMania. I think she'll win, at Survivor Series or earlier, but I got Sasha winning this. Robert, who do you got?
I think it's got to be Bianca. I think that if she loses now, the second time that she's in front of a huge crowd, it's going to be a disservice to her. And I think that they can still get a few more matches out of this, or after the draft, Bianca with the title going up against Charlotte or Rhea has value to it.
Scott?
Yeah, I think Bianca wins. I think it will be the second or third best match of the night.
Mike?
I think that, Bianca should win, but they got to give her some fresh opponents. I mean, the fact that, it's SummerSlam and
they already killed Zelina Vega, but
what's that?
They already killed Zelina Vega. They totally killed her.
Yeah. I mean, I think, this will be a great match, but Bianca's got to move on to other stuff.
And our main event, Roman Reigns, the chosen one, the head of the table versus John Membury Cena. I think this is my bold prediction. I think Roman's going to win, and I think Big E's going to cash in and win with the help of Cena. What do you got? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I do, but I just
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they want to end on a high note. I think
he got it back from Corbin.
Yeah, but they've already said that that's not real. Like the Baron Corbin character, they've actually done a fantastic job with. As soon as he got the briefcase, like Michael Cole was like, "Yeah, that's not real. He can't do anything with that."
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's a bummer. I thought that could have been stupid fun. Dude, I who did you say? Oh yeah, wow. Okay, you think that's gonna happen? I want Reigns to win, so I'll say Reigns. I think it'll be a cool match. It's one of those things that I've been sitting around going like, oh, these two facing each other, that's a big deal. And then you go, oh, they faced each other before, and I totally forgot that happened. But it'll be.
Oh, cool. I was there at No Mercy. It was like a video game match. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think it'll be cool. I think Reigns should choke him out, but I don't know. He doesn't need the title, but I think Reigns choking Cena out is a really big moment.
Mike, who do you got?
I think it'll be Reigns. I think that, this match felt special. Then they've been on TV almost too much, which is rare. But when Cena first popped at the last pay-per-view and everyone was crazy, I think that he actually should have been gone for a week or two and really made it feel bigger. The amount of promo time that they've gotten, and I mean, it's funny that it's like Roman's whole thing is like how predictable and boring Cena in his promos are. When Roman does a lot of the same shit every SmackDown for 15
it works.
minutes. It works, but it's competitive also. But I think this will be a big match, and I think that it's cool that you have a match that feels like your main event, like that this is your two big stars at SummerSlam. I think this is bigger than anything they had at Mania.
Definitely.
I agree. Robert, who do you got?
Yeah, this is the WrestleMania main event we couldn't get, and they've done this a few times before. We've had Undertaker and Austin at SummerSlam '98. You had Rock and Brock Lesnar in 2002. There have been a few times where they've delivered a WrestleMania main event at
Shawn
SummerSlam.
and Hogan.
Sean, oh God, I tried
Dude,
to
I
block
love
that out
that
of it.
match.
You weren't there.
Sean returning to Triple H at 02 is also
Yeah.
fucking great.
Scott,
Yeah.
you weren't there, Scott. You weren't there. You don't understand. But the fact of the
You
matter
were on
is,
the team at that point, right?
yeah.
Oh, dude, we got to do a fucking Patreon about that.
Yeah. Oh, by all means. But I lost my train of thought. Oh, the story is great. They finally figured out the narrative on the story that John Cena was telling last week on SmackDown, which is Roman's going to kick my ass. Brock Lesnar kicked my ass before. All I need to do is outlast Roman 1 second longer than he can outlast me, and I'm going to break that Ric Flair record.
That was really good. Yeah.
They finally kind of found the little nugget of a story there that makes this interesting. And the fact that Rick is no longer with the company and Vince has such a hard on for these stupid records. It's why Punk kept the belt for longer than Bruno. And then it's why Brock kept it longer than Punk to spite him. There's a small part of me that thinks that they're going to want to spite Flair and put the title on John Cena. But at the end of the day, Roman is champion, is where the money is. Roman's going to carry this thing for a while. I don't think Big E's going to cash in here because I can hear the argument in the writer's room, which is Big E needs to cash in advance and challenge Roman as a man one-on-one. And when he does eventually beat Roman, if that's where they go, he's a bigger star than he won in Vince's mind the coward's way. So I think Roman's going to wind up beating John Cena in the end. I don't think he's going to choke him out. I think there's way too much fear of that, but I think him pinning Cena and then Cena still getting the applause from the crowd after is kind of what they need. Though I would love if they have Cena get the applause after Roman goes in and just beats the shit out of him again.
I would love that too. Yeah.
All right, folks. SummerSlam's gonna be a lot of fun, and we're gonna cover it next week. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch a WWE pay-per-view on a Saturday. So it's time to close with high spot, low spot. This is my spot of the week. I can't say if it's a high spot. I can't say if it's a low spot. If anybody watched Triple A Mania this past weekend and how it closed, Psycho Clown won against Fat Roman. I didn't get a chance to learn his name. And the match ended. Their kids were in the side of I think their kids were on, in their corners. And this guy had to have his daughter cut his hair off. And the daughter was crying. She was legitimately crying. And then I look over to the other side of the ring, and Psycho Clown is dancing with his sons while this happens. It was like a fucking Twin Peaks episode. I couldn't stop thinking about it. My high spot this week, there's a ton of high spots for me. I thought the New Japan show was really great. The Finlay and Jay White match was really good. Ospreay coming back. This past NXT show, Robert Stone, great comedy wrestler, all of Dynamite. So many high spots this week. I'm really excited about wrestling. What was your high spot this week, Scott?
No, my high spot was the New Japan show, man. It was. I wasn't really excited for it going into it, but then a lot of fucking things happened. The Gorillas of Destiny interrupted, the Good Brothers, Ishii and Moose was a great match.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
Hell
I
yeah,
totally
dude.
forgot about that.
Osprey coming back and Osprey being the real IWGP heavyweight champion, and he's going to be defending it in America is what it seems like is going to be happening, which is badass. A lot happened on the show, and it was all positives for New Japan, which hasn't happened in a while. So I was all in on this shit, man. I was freaking out. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ibushi's back from injury too, so or sickness or whatever.
Yeah, dude, the Tanahashi Lance Archer match rule.
Best Lance Archer match I've ever seen.
Dude, just so the whole show was awesome. Really awesome.
Robert.
I mean, I said it before, I'm going to stick with it. The crowd singing Judas when Jericho came out there. It was a manufactured moment that they wanted to create as organic. The audience was all in on it and they had a blast. And it was one of those times where you're like, this is why pro wrestling in front of a live crowd is a hell of a lot of fun. It was a genuinely memorable moment. And it felt like the kind of moments that WWE used to be able to produce a lot. And it was one of those moments you're watching it like, this is really fucking cool. And I love when that happens in wrestling. So that was my high spot. My other quasi high spot was, and I texted you guys about this. I watched the first episode of Heels on Stars, which is a really fun show if you're a wrestling fan. It's Stephen Amell, and I can hear Cody already jerking off, but it's a really well-written show. It's a well-produced show. You don't
Jerking
have to be a wrestling fan.
CM Punk got the role.
Well, CM Punk's in one of the episodes, but there's a part in this episode where they're trying to explain the Ric Flair Sting booking in WCW. And I'm like, this is on a scripted drama with actors. This is the best thing ever. And then the first episode was called Kayfabe. Their second episode, which hasn't aired yet, is called The Dusty Finish. So this is clearly written by people who love pro wrestling. Mike, you need to get a job on this show when The Rock blackballs you from Hollywood.
Hey, look, I'm trying to get a job too, folks. Mike, what do we got for high spot this week?
I'm going to say, we recorded this on Thursdays, so Rampage hasn't happened yet, but just the anticipation of Punk. It's exciting. Right. We could say what we want about the last 7 years, the MMA stuff. We had a fun roast about him, but dude, the guy fucking energized a generation of people into loving wrestling again. And we're all excited to see him again. I don't know what's going to happen. And like I said, I haven't seen it. There's tomorrow from when we record this. But I'm like jazzed. Like it's a fucking Friday, and I'm excited to watch wrestling at 10 p.m. and see this guy come back in his hometown and get the fucking hero's welcome. Because I think whatever cynicism we have or whatever criticism we have is going to go away the second we see these fans lose their shit for him, and it's going to be awesome.
Mike, do you want to see Colt Cabana come out there and do the Jerry Lewis Dean Martin hug?
I would love that.
I mean, that would be sweet, but then CM Punk has to give him a check.
Yeah, that's true. What if it was like the Naked Gun? The end of the Naked Gun, where like CM Punk and then Hulk Hogan hug, and then you look in the audience and it's Arn Anderson and Sid, and then it's I don't know, the ghost of Jimmy Snuka and
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I thought you were gonna say that it's like that Colt is like the OJ character in Naked Gun. He's just gonna be down a freeway on a wheelchair.
Oh, I could see that happening too. What was your low spot this week, Mike?
Christian beating Omega.
Hey, that was mine too.
Fucking awful, especially because then Andrade decides to lose for whatever machinations between AAA and AEW.
You know why it
why
is?
Why especially?
Psycho Clown. They want the Psycho Clown Omega match. I'm not making that up.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, but I think that this version of Christian, the way this match was set up with only 2 days of notice, now we're gonna get another match within 2 weeks. I know it's a false premise if I say Christian isn't over. I know that he's over with this fan base, but he just doesn't do it for me. I think he's probably a great dude. Jay Riso seems like a fun guy to hang out with, but Christian beating your unbeatable world champion in 2021 is fucking embarrassing. That's what I think.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think on I mean, again, like I said last week, I don't want fucking Christian beating Kenny Omega. You know what I mean? But the match itself, the way it was laid out, flawlessly laid out, to the point where I honestly rewatched the match. Like any and all of Christian's offense was either a reversal or ducking an Omega move, right? He was never on top, not once. Like literally not once. There was no authentic offense like Omega had.
I don't care though. I don't care.
Wait, but even when he hit the spear and when he hit the frog splash, he couldn't follow it up, right? Because Omega, like, dude, those are his finishers. I know the spear, you go, what the fuck is this thing occurring? But it's one of his finishers. So is the frog splash. Those are his finishers. And I know you don't know that, but people know that. And it's like, you know, for Jim Ross this week to say, you know, Christian versus Kenny Omega was the best match I've called in years. I genuinely believe him. I think, look, I don't agree that it was the best match I've seen in years, but I think the psychology of it was unbelievable. Like Omega lost to himself. Like even like the low blow at the end, Kenny could have pinned him there, but he still called out the Bucks.
Even the fact that
he doesn't believe in himself,
Nakagawa,
like Hangman doesn't believe in himself.
It doesn't matter. He lost the TNA championship.
Hangman drinks.
Dude, he lost the TNA
the same guy, but they went down different roads.
Dude, he lost the TNA championship before the AEW championship. It makes your title secondary. How
no,
can you not
but it didn't. You're just making that up.
I'm not making it up. It's true.
How is it true? It's not relevant, dude. You know, okay, do you think, honestly, are you going to watch TNA this week because it's a bigger title than AEW's? No.
I probably
because
would,
you're
but
full
we're
of shit because
recording
that's not a
during
real
that
thing. I know it's a thing you think you're supposed to say, but when you watch it and it works out, you just got to go, hot damn, that worked out.
Oh, my God, man. You're such an AEW.
They book a better show than us. I know. Fans are used to booking better than the show. They did a great job. And now the story, look, I know we don't give a fuck, but the match is going to be better. They did hold back, even though this match was fucking great. They did hold back.
Scott turned his camera off because there were tears streaming down his face.
You know it. And a hard on. Dude,
you
it's
fucking born again Christian
awesome.
fan.
It worked out. Dude, spoiler alert. That's good times. But
but here's my thing, right?
And wait, on the anniversary of Kenny Omega winning the G1, which is like his grandest achievement, and now look at the scumbag.
What do you have this written on a calendar, Meltzer? What the fuck?
Because he's not the real cleaner. He's trying to get back to his best self, and he thinks this is it, and it's not.
Yeah, but Scott, here's the
G1 win, guys.
Hold on, Scott. Here's the challenge with this. I want to make a genuine point for a minute before Mike.
Go watch a fucking
John
Cena promo.
Scott, are you trying to be the son that Dave Meltzer always wanted to have? You know he's not going to be there for you. He's still going to love wrestling more than you.
No, I think the challenge with the match was number one, if you are an AEW fan and you're invested in the story and you're invested in the world of kayfabe, there are two things you want to see. You want to see Christian win a title since this is his big comeback, and you want to see Kenny Omega get his comeuppance. And they just gave that to you on free television. So now you're less excited for the pay-per-view because you had the emotional release. I think it weakens All Out. I don't think it ruins the match, but I think you've taken those moments away. If building up to WrestleMania 17 and it's Rock and Austin, and then 3 weeks beforehand, I just watched Austin pin The Rock, well, I had that emotional moment. I saw what I was supposed to see. I got the catharsis. I don't hate Christian the way that Mike does or the feelings that Dan does. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible. I think there's a story to tell there. What's unfortunate is they gave away moments that they should have saved for the pay-per-view because that was the thing you were supposed to get.
Brother, this I promise you're going to watch this match at All Out and go, hot damn, they had more.
I hope so.
Well, how
I would
could that be?
Thrilled,
because
but you're taking a risk. But you know what? I said this before. They could have done a 6-man to open Rampage to give you a huge match and do the Elite against Jurassic Express and Christian. Christian still could have pinned Kenny Omega to get into his head. You didn't need to have the title win. You had a bunch of stuff you could have done, and it would have been fine. It sucks that now I've seen Kenny lose one of his titles. I've seen Christian get a championship. You've given the audience things that they were waiting for, that there could have been a better payoff for. And I think that's the only thing that sucks. They were building a good story and they blew it.
And if you have Punk coming in and Bryan coming in, there's more money in an undefeated Kenny in this iteration.
100%.
Also, I think that Nakazawa
I disagree. I don't
wasn't
think
there.
there's more money in it. I think that's made up.
Nakazawa
He's
wasn't
buying
there.
a
The Good
pay-per-view
Brothers weren't there.
because-
They didn't even have all the
because
people
Kenny's
that he had.
undefeated.
Nakazawa was busy trying to get
Made
that
up
chick
thing.
magnet shirt for Kenny Omega.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it was inconsistent. And,
Yeah,
and I don't
we lost
hate
so many viewers from it.
I
Yeah.
don't hate
Guys,
Christian. I'm indifferent to him.
dummies.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Christian seems like I say, he seems like a fine guy. It's just this version of him as a relevant main eventer doesn't work.
By the way, there is a small sect of our like Facebook group that lives for this moment, which is Scott railing against the three of us on some weird hill he's gonna die on because we're all old men and he's you're a millennial, right? Or
I
are you
just
a
don't
Gen
think.
Z
I
or
think
whatever?
you're underestimating the in-ring storytelling capabilities of Kenny Omega and Christian. I think all that was going to be nuts, and you're going to go hot dog. I guess even if you barely tell a story outside of the ring, the story in the ring could really make the fuck out of a feud. I think
Yes, during the match, I'm gonna go hot dog. Then I'm gonna eat that hot dog.
You're gonna
My
go
throat
shit.
is gonna kick in.
Yeah. It's no Damian Priest Sheamus. Let's all just agree to that.
That's true.
All right. Well, we're gonna put it on our Facebook as a poll. Is Scott or the old men? No wrestling for old men.
Yeah, it is no Damian Priest Sheamus because Sheamus was a better ECW champion than Christian.
Robert, what was your low spot this week?
Other than this conversation right now, Mike brought up a point about how we're all genuinely excited to watch Rampage tomorrow night or tonight for those of you watching it on TNT. Like, there's a genuine excitement to it. There was a feeling I had going into watching Raw this week that made this feel like this is such a this was the labor of Robert this week, was having to sit through a show that I genuinely loved and used to feel this way about getting excited to watch Raw. There was nothing over the course of this 3-hour slog of a television show that was really worth our time, other than the fact that I was going to be tweeting about it for fun and that Dan and I were going to be talking about it for something to sports entertainment with. It's so joyless. It's so bland. It's so just dead on arrival. My low spot this week was dreading watching something that I truly loved and know that it can be better, because SmackDown's a good show. NXT is a good show. Raw needs to be slightly better, and I think that just kind of bums me out.
Scott, what was your low spot this week?
Ooh, that is a tough one. I didn't look. There's a few things. There's like, okay, I do want to just pick one. Okay, one thing I didn't like is so Ric Flair had a fun spot at the Triple Mania show. And then people going online and being mad at him for some reason for getting physical, like they're his kids or something. Leave the fucking guy alone. He's allowed to do what he wants to do. If he wants to have another match,
saw that
he's allowed to
airplane
have
picture.
another match. Like, I keep thinking back to this idea of that Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, the send-off, the WWE send-off is the greatest send-off anyone could ever possibly get, right? It is. But when he returned to fight Hulk Hogan in Australia, we all got mad at him, and we were wrong. He's allowed to do what the fuck he wants. The WWE is just a company. He's a wrestler who's wrestled in a bunch of companies before WWE. And I think
did you just take out a Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, dude, Mike just plays with toys the whole show.
Yeah, I have my Iron Man toy.
And that's what he's doing at Dynamite. He goes, I didn't like the Christian match. And I go,
he does
is
it
it
at
because
the
you were
point-
swinging Storm around?
He does it at the point, Scott, when you
tie
turn in
Storm to your fan, Mike, and turn it on?
When you turn into like the Fox News correspondent, that's when this happens. When suddenly you turn into like the Tucker Carlson of professional wrestling, Mike's gonna just reach for a toy rather than change the channel. We gotta get you a bow tie and a jacket and a My Pillow every
thing
time
Mike's
you go down these
therapist told him
paths.
to do.
Can I just say that Scott's autism triggers my autism?
Mike has therapy toys.
Their puzzle pieces fit together.
Yeah.
And I have to keep buying new ones because they don't work anymore.
All right, folks. Wow, this was a really fun episode. Next week we got the roast of JBL for Show in Hell. We're gonna, just because it's gonna be a long show, we're covering SummerSlam. We're just gonna be looking at the Stevie Richards receipt. JBL beat up Blue Meanie at one night stand, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
God,
It's gonna
that
be one night
receipt,
stand.
yeah.
And we're going to be looking at the nasty chair shot Stevie Richards gave him as a comeuppance. We're also going to be, like I said, reviewing SummerSlam. We're going to be reviewing Dynamite. I firmly believe we have the best Patreon in the podcasting wrestling world, maybe the entire world. You can get a ton of. All right, my dogs are fighting again.
Even your dog didn't believe that.
Yeah. We got some. We've
The
already
dog's like, listen to Robert talk about Raw by himself. It's Raw.
If you become a $5 Patreon right now, and people who are new to the podcast, you get the roast to CM Punk, you get the roast to Jim Cornette, you get the roast to Teddy Hart, you get the roast to Billy Corgan,
New Jack,
for God's sakes, and you're also gonna get our show dropping Monday, which we review the first ever TNA pay-per-view, and we talk about CM Punk's debut on Rampage, or we talk about it not happening and
Chicago burning to the ground.
I'm burning Chicago burning to the ground.
But we will, if CM Punk doesn't return tomorrow, we're gonna play a game called How Does Scott Rationalize It? And if you get his answer correct, you are also a loser.
brother. I will not. You guys will be going, hey, I sent the Zoom invite, and I won't be answering. I'll be at the bottom of the Hudson River.
And if you become a $10 fan, you get an extra show every week. Me and Robert reviewing some show. It could be any show. This week we're going to be reviewing NXT, which we hardly talked about during this. It really is like it could be the NXT series finale, and I mean it's going to be a great show, man. I mean, you got Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross. You got Adam Cole, who may be on his way out, versus Kyle O'Reilly in a best out of 3 series. You get Dragunov and Walter again, which that was like the match of the year last year.
That'll steal the weekend technically, but
yes, that'll steal the weekend from it'll be
a work standpoint, I guess.
Yeah. It's just there's a ton of really great matches on the show. Well, there's 5 great matches,
and then it's going to end with it pulling back, and it's a snow globe in Shane McMahon's hand.
So check it out. We have a 5-star review for us on iTunes. Become a Patreon member, like I said. Join our YouTube, our Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Post about us on message boards. Guys, we're trying to make this a thing. Check us out. Mike, what do you got?
You can follow me on Mike Lawrence Comedy on Instagram, and I am active in the Facebook group. A lot of funny, creative people there. Oh, and shit, I need to read the Twitter question.
Oh, shit, yeah.
I'm really sorry about that. So the Twitter question this week was, because of the Max Caster thing, I asked people, what's
the background? If you guys don't know, Max Caster, apparently his push has been put on ice in AEW or any sort of traction because of the controversial Simone Biles rap that he dropped on AEW Dark a couple weeks ago.
Yes. And so he apparently was going to get sensitivity training classes. And so I asked our beloved fans, our forbidden dorks, what's the first thing they teach you?
Which, by the way, guys, shirts coming soon.
Yes. What's the first thing they teach you in an AEW sensitivity training class? So we have at Bleeding Blue 20. Never mention the Bucks' lack of height, muscularity, masculinity, or tone deaf booking. Do compliment their hair plugs, though. At Promographic Ken, you have to begin by respecting people's lifestyle choices. It doesn't matter that QT Marshall's wife nicknamed him Cody. What a woman desperately wants her husband to turn into is her business and not yours. At C. Bowers says, if you're rapping about someone under 5 feet tall, it better be Marco Stunt. At Dave Caffarel, they just have Jake Roberts tell stories, and once he leaves the room, they tell everyone, just don't do any of that. At SS Clay Davis, don't repeat anything Jim Ross says about Sonny Kiss. At Bertlin 19, you're not allowed to ask how Tony's dad made his money. At BS Jim 837, great classes like current wrestling etiquette with Jim Cornette, political training with Chris Jericho's wife, and how to discipline children with QT Marshall. all the sensitivity classes at AEW University. At SCW Regal 444, Red Velvet and Brandy are not, in fact, the same person. At the Jason Sigler, Cody is working through something, so just be cool with him, okay? At Hate Yo Kids, pushing someone into exploding objects or attempted murder by throwing them off the side of a cage is okay. But you're a character because you're a character doing a stunt, but making a rap about your opponent's in character is bad. Words can hurt people. At Pharrell Comedy says, I assume it's just Scott Chaplin stroking their head and whispering sweet nothings. Selling isn't important. How many more people you want in your faction, bro? At SmartNado781, we won't tell you the rules, but if you break them, we'll sell you out. If you get someone's name wrong repeatedly, it's a microaggression, but not if JR does it. Never mention Shivani's earrings, but do sensitivity training and we'll hire your friend on the first episode of Rampage. At the LaCroix boy says, no, Cody, you can't say the N-word because your wife is black. At Drig Orcs, you are allowed to smack a coworker on the ass as long as you slap your leg while doing so. And Show Off 1984, Scott Chaplin is at the front of the class yelling at everyone, Christian winning the title was perfect. You're all fucking idiots.
How did he know?
Oh, folks, what a awesome. Scott, what do you got next week?
Scott, what do you mean next week? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, what do you got to promote? Sorry.
Oh, I don't know. Scott_Chaplin on Twitter and Instagram, the WrestleRoasts, Twitter, our Patreon, which is a blast. That's really it. I didn't like the Cena Reign segment last Friday. I thought it was really bad. And that's it.
All right. Robert?
You can follow me on Twitter at WWCreative_ISH. And to my buddy Zach, I know you're listening to this while trying to put your daughter to bed, so I hope that Grayson falls asleep. If not, just play back Scott's old New Japan reviews, and that'll put the kid right out.
Well, let's say goodbye from our Zach. Zach, what do you got?
Wash your hands.
That's true. Delta variant, big deal. Which it sounds like a terrible gimmick. Maybe that should be Bray's new gimmick in AEW. He just comes out as the Delta variant.
Yo, dude, I didn't want Bray to go to AEW, and then I found out his 90-day no complete ends October 29th, which is the Friday Dynamite right before Halloween, and I'm like, bitch, you better dress up.
It's the Boogie Oogie Man from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Gray-ass pumpkins.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week. What a blast.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.